I've never had a job. This has been my only job. So I suppose I'm unique in that sense that I've only ever worked for myself. On leaving Oxford Poly, this is what I did. I set up Dunn as it was, and then that morphed into a much bigger travel business about a decade later. We started in 1986-87, which is the first ski season, and then in 95 we realised that our guests wanted more than just skiing holidays, so that's when we started with Africa, and then we ended up setting up Latin America, the Indian Ocean, Asia Pacific, European escapes, a whole childcare set up with children's clubs, Mediterranean holidays with villas, which mimicked what we did in the chalets, with chefs and hosts to look after and nannies to look after the children. And then very latterly, just last year, we went into North America for the first time. Future plans for the business is that we do grow. We've historically over time we've grown at about 20%. If you draw a line through our growth curve, so that's from 87 through to today. We're growing a little bit faster than that at the moment. North America is a big push. We also will be doubling the number of children's clubs that we have throughout the world over the next 3 years. I think our guests like the fact that we're honest. So I think today it's very important to say what a place is like, what the service will be, and not to hide anything. And they find that particularly refreshing. And that is why they come back and book time and time again. The great thing that's happening right now is that people are booking much further in advance than they did in the near past, which is good for everyone. And that's driven by one, wanting to get what they want, whether that's a villa or a particular hotel, but probably more importantly, a Scott Dunn guest, if they're going long haul, like to fly premium, and so therefore the further in advance you can sort that out, actually the cheaper it will be. Another trend is people going on special holidays, and that might be for a 30th, a 40th, or a 50th, or a 60th, or a 70th, or indeed an 80th. And the other thing is that multi-generational holidays where people go away. A classic case would be going into a big, lovely villa with us, but the grandparents are paying and they're taking their children and their grandchildren. And it's that's a great way to holiday because everything is looked after. No one has to do the cooking. No one has to do the cleaning. When you're lying around the pool, someone appears for 11 sis with a nice cold drink. You can read your book, you can go and play tennis, you can go and swim. It's a fantastic holiday. The importance of a tour operator, a good tour operator. There's lots of bad tour operators out there, and unfortunately, some bad experiences is the reason why people end up trying to do things themselves. But if you're a good tour operator, as in Scott Dunn, then people trust us, and that's what they're buying, the trust for us to get it absolutely right. And indeed, more importantly, when something does go wrong, then we throw the kitchen sink at it and we make sure it is all sorted out. And if some part of the world isn't working or is wrong, then we'll move them to another part of the world. So that we'll always go and we're there to hold their hand, to look after them, so that they can put their brain in neutral. Our itineraries are very complex and they're very detailed, and they guide people through their day and then on to the next day. There are, of course, the classic bucket and spade holidays as well, but in terms of a detailed itinerary, there's multiple accommodation, there's multiple flights or movements during that holiday, and it's all timed to perfection. In terms of popularity, I think Asia is seeing more of a revival, Vietnam, places like that. It's also better value in today's climate. And I think the service is incredibly good, but people also want to do special things. Bhutan, Nepal, they're looking to cover the globe. We have guests who are really incredibly well travelled, and there are some tick boxes which they go through and places they want to see. But they get ever more adventurous as time moves on, and indeed they get older. We're lucky in the position that we're in that we're at the top end of the market. So that we're dealing, in terms of the UK, we're dealing with the top percentile of the country. And then we have an international play as well, which is growing. I wouldn't want to be in the middle market. I think that would be a horrendous space. I think one of the major challenges that will come to the fore is the millennial traveller. The people who their first port of call is the internet. They don't know what a tour operator is really and what they bring to the party. We're very good at doing bigger and better itineraries, and it's has always been about the experience. That you have a lasting memory on holiday. But now I think it's moved on more. It needs to be authentic. You need to have the right people in the right places showing guests around Marrakesh, around Bhutan, and that there needs to be a relationship with the people at Scott Dunn and that particular person on the ground. I think what I'm most proud of is the fact, of the 104 people in this country who work with me, is that they enjoy coming to work. There's a great atmosphere. They're selling something that they love. They're truly passionate about what they do. They spend 4 weeks of the year visiting all the places in which we operate. So we won't ever sell anything unless we've seen it. And when they're there, they're treated like royalty. It's a great place, it's a great environment. We have an office in Chichester and also in Putney. And then, of course, we've got lots of people overseas. My advice would be, do whatever you're passionate about. You've got to really love what you're doing. I would also in this day and age, I would get some work experience. I would also look to get an internship. The reason why I say that is that we take interns at Scott Dunn, and every single one has always been offered a permanent position. So it works, in other words. Well, for me, it was a case of when I was a student, I went out to Verbier in Switzerland to see my sister for the first time, who was working out there. And because I was an impoverished student, I couldn't afford a ski pass. So I worked with her in the morning, I helped her, and then went skiing in the afternoon. And I realised that there was so many more things that you could do, and then it could be so much better than what was being offered back then in the day. And so, yes, my first love was skiing, and I just thought, how can I ski for free? So that's what came about. And needless to say, I love travelling. I'm not, I've been on, thousands of planes in my time, but I still enjoy getting on an aircraft. I've always wanted to be successful. I've been driven to be successful, and that might be to do with childhood, all kinds of things. But my parents obviously did a reasonable job. There was 5 of us, and all of us have done well in our sector. With regard to ILTM, it's a fantastic show because all the right people are there and you get to see them in one place. And for me, that is invaluable.